you tired of this broken garbage on your Fiero? Huh? Tired of that? Maybe you get tired of having to deal with one of these. Well, maybe we'll take care of both of those today on this monster. Stay tuned. Now here's a mini project a lot of you guys are working on out there in your Fieros. You'll come to find that these 3 screws that bolt down the spoiler mount stanchions will come ripping out of the spoiler. Now somebody previous to me had put in these, and I think it's just a, well, what's left of it anyway, is a brass insert. It's like it's basically it's nothing more than a well nut. It's this rubber piece. It's supposed to be at the bottom of that, and it looks like they just jammed that in the hole. You tighten the original screws up because it is the correct thread pitch, and it squishes the rubber and kind of locked it into the spoiler. Problem was, is the spoiler was always kind of bouncy in the car. Every time I hit a bump, the thing kind of, you know, kind of did one of those, and not a big fan of that. And you can see they did a bang-up paint job on it. Look at the runs. Yeah, that's special. I love when people put a lot of effort into runs. So this thing's going to end up getting completely stripped and completely redone at some point anyway. But because the spoiler was getting a little bouncy, and I was getting a lot of water into the side, and because the front end was broken off and something was tied around it at one point, you can see the rub marks right there. They put epoxy in it. There's a whole bunch of body filler jammed up in there. This thing weighs a ton. I think they put the body filler in there because that hole was probably gone, because it looks like they cut it. There's some cut marks there. And then they tried to thread body filler. I mean, that's a new one on me. This thing's not even in the right shape anymore. You see how it's flattened out right there? This is supposed to be pushed up. This thing's beat. It is seriously beat. The gasket under it was destroyed, and it's been leaking water into my trunk for, well, since I received the car. So I decided to get these out. I wasn't originally going to go this far with this, but then, you know, one thing leads to another. Every project is one broken bolt away from a weekend project. So, and unfortunately, I'm using the top of my Trans Am as a freaking bench right now because I got stuff going on. So, what I ended up doing is I've got one of these thread cert kits, and I've had it for years, and it's a great kit. I've used this thing on 1,000 different projects, and I've had to reload these I don't know how many times. So, you know, you get a bunch of different size arbors and adapters and things, and here's a couple of the small. I tried putting the original screws back in first, and these just weren't big enough because somebody had either drilled these out or these holes were 3/8 to begin with. I'm not really sure. So I had to use these, which is a 6x1.0 instead of a 5mm, which I think they were 5s. Yeah, they were 5s. 5x0.08, and then these are 0.8. These are 6x1.0. So I had to go get new screws, of course, and they're countersunk screws. I do have another GM one that's kind of beat. It's not broken. Actually, we can go for a walk, and you can see it's sitting in a high build primer right now. See, just sitting in a primer, and it's going to get sanded, and I'm going to slap probably just some black paint on it for now to get it back on the car, because I don't really have time to do the full repair in this right now, but at least I can get it back on the car. I'm going to put stainless studs, though, in there. I like to put brass nuts on the bottom, but I don't think I can find those, so I might just put stainless nuts on it, and then it'll work just fine. So, but this one's not broken. You can see, actually, it's probably dry enough. Yeah, see, this one's in great shape. None of the holes are broken, nothing like that. So I'm going to throw that on temporarily, just to get the thing back on the car, because the other one needs to be replaced too. Which, here's one of my, that I started. There's so many projects going on. One of the newly manufactured ones, I still have to sand off a little bit more of the 3D print there, and then sand it smooth, get a couple studs in that. I've got a couple of those, so those will end up going on this thing permanently, because that one's got a flattened out spot, and it's got some cracks starting in it too. It's getting a little worn. But that will... So, anyway, back to where I was doing. So, you put these... It's like a rivet, really. You put it in here. Some people call them rib nuts. And when you tighten it down, it pulls the threads up and pinches against this lip that you can kind of see right there. See if you can see it. Yeah, that lip. So it'll pinch this up against that, flattens it, and they squeeze. The harder you tighten this, the more they squeeze the plastic, fiberglass, metal, whatever you're putting them into. And they're great for putting threads into things that you can't put threads in. So I've been using them pretty much fiberglass the entire time I bought that thing, which is what I bought it for. Works on good on sheet metal, though, too. But, so I put 3 inserts in, and then I went and bought brand new countersunk screws to match. And I may have to enlarge in the holes just a little bit on this. I don't really think about that too much, because It's not going in these. Yeah, I'll have to make that hole just a tad bigger. That's okay. No big deal. Just a little bit bigger, just a millimeter bigger. And then I can put that back on here and bolt it back on and everything will be fine. When I do that side, I'll probably shoot a whole video because I tried to crack those screws loose too, as you can kind of see. Alright. You can see the paint came off right there because they obviously doused this thing in paint. Pretty sure this came off of a white car. There's something weird going on with the Fiero. It looks like the deck lid was replaced at some point with one off of a white car. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to end up doing that side too, and I'll shoot a whole video on how to do that. It's really not that bad. Getting these old ones out, though, these rubber well nuts, is a disaster, because every time you try to turn it, all it does is turn inside the hole. It doesn't want to grab anything and come out anymore, so I basically had to destroy them to get them out, which is fine, which is probably why I think that corner broke off. This side was already snapped off and in trouble, so it wasn't too much of a big deal. The piece was still hanging onto the car, though. It was just sitting there floating here, which I have. It's somewhere around here. I don't know if I'm going to make fiberglass versions, or I'll just keep the printed ones that we've got going on, because the printed ones work just fine, I think. They're a lot heavier duty, for sure. They feel more solid, and I like the extra webbing in there really works, so I'm definitely going to do that. What else are we going to do around here? Try a little, I guess, a little mini update. I got a bunch of work to do on this. I'm going to end up popping this fender off, so if you want to see how to remove a fender on 3rd gen, we'll do that. I've got to put a bumper on it still. There's the brand new NOS fender sitting over there. I've been collecting parts for 3rd gens for over 20 years, so anytime I come across a decent part that I think I'm going to eventually need, I just snag it. So, dash pad, I'll probably send this one off to either Just Dashes or Dashboard Restorations, or maybe I'll even find somebody local, I'm not sure, just to recover that one for the DeLorean. The one that's in it's got one big crack in it. It's not horrible, but it does have a crack in it. What are we doing here? Oh yeah, this has got a leak somewhere under here. It might be the spoiler bolts, I'm not sure. It might be the sealer. There's actually some butyl, maybe urethane, I think it's butyl, that goes all the way across the bottom here that seals it to the glass. And I'm gonna work on that. Another thing a lot of guys will do on these is when these don't line up, I'll get my card out of the way. Let's see here. I want to slam it. Just want to close it. Okay, there we go. So they'll say that this thing sticks way out, and actually this one's, when it closes, it's really not that bad. It just looks worse because it's still popped open. But this will stick, way out to here. They immediately assume that this has separated from that, and that is not true at all. Yes, these struts do have a lot of tension on them, but not enough to move. These 2 screws will not allow it to move back and forth. It just isn't going to happen. Plus you got the urethane, maybe it is urethane, that goes all the way across. I don't remember, it's been a while. That goes all the way across. I usually use window urethane when I reseal these. So these keep it from moving back. Unless these are snapped off, and there's 2 on each side, which I highly doubt they're snapped off. God, this thing's been sitting a while. Chances are this is not moved. The problem is actually simpler. It's those. If you see this area right here starting to become a U, it's because it's separating there and pushing the whole hinge back. Those hinges are made out of a pretty cheap pot metal, I think they are originally. And I don't want to say really cheap, because most of them have lasted 30, almost 40 years now. So they have lasted a while. They probably weren't meant to last that long, but it is a good idea to replace those. That's where your issue really lies. It's in the hinges. That's not why I've got this open. I've got a leak I got to fix. I got to take it outside. Once I'm done laying up some fiberglass stuff, I've got a couple projects that here we'll be filming here soon. Once I get one done here, I've got a couple big ones to do. So we'll knock those out. But I figured, I'll show you this. This is a way to put threads in something that you can't just drill and tap, which a composite wing or spoiler you can't. God, see, it's so bad they put runs in it, because this actually isn't too bad of a paint finish. I could probably cut and buff this and make it look semi-decent to go to the rest of the car. Which, let's go out here. As you can see, the battery got low. So, God, this car looks so weird without a spoiler on it. But yeah, so just for last night, I covered the holes in case it rained or anything, because I didn't want to have a trunk full of water again. But I'll clean all this off. God, all scratches. I do have new gaskets for these. So we'll get those in hopefully later on today and be done with that. Got some stuff coming up on that guy too. As soon as this one comes back, look at this. It's getting there. Doesn't take long. Those yellow tops really take a beat and they come back. So let's get this. I'll go let that dry. I might go up to a parts store or something, see if I can find some like some Duplicolor Perfect Match or something that's this color, and just maybe shoot the thing just to make it look like it's decent for a little while until I can get around to getting that one off and repainting the deck lid, which we're gonna do for sure. And then this bad boy. Anybody third gen guys, you know the nightmare of this. Yeah, those are always fun. That's got to go in there. So, don't let ethanol sit in your tanks, kids. Okay, ethanol is bad. It destroyed. There's a little resistor inside here, and a wafer plate. And this just changes the resistance from 0 to 90 ohms, if I remember right. And it just eats this board alive. I had to do one here last year on this monster, and it's not terribly hard. You don't have to cut a hole in your car to do it. You do have to get the fuel tank off, which is above the muffler. You really can't see it, but it is above the muffler up there. So a lot of guys will take, this car's open, so I'm going to show you a little bit here. Under this load floor door and under the T-top, they'll cut a hole right here. Basically right around that direction, because the fuel sender is maybe that far under the floor pan. You know, the floor pan sits like that. It's really close to it. The issue you have if you do that is then you got to cut these and put hoses on them. I'm not a big fan of cutting the substructure of the car, so, and I've never done one of those trap door mods that everybody does. I just do it the right way. Yeah, it takes a little longer. You don't have to remove the rear axle completely from the car. You just have to get it up high enough that you can pull the shocks and the springs and the panhard bar. And then there's another brace in there you pull off, and just let the axle drop as far as you can, and you'll have enough room to get the tank out. I did it with the car sitting right here. And now it runs. I wouldn't have had to have done it, except years ago, my genius butt, there's a hose. Now this one is for a carb car, obviously, because it doesn't have an electric fuel pump on it. But the electric fuel pump ones, you have your electric fuel pump sits here. There's a little piece of rubber hose, and then it attaches to this main feed line tube. I didn't replace this hose. I replaced the fuel pump. The fuel pump worked fine. It was beautiful. It was a Delphi. Worked great. It's been in the car since 2002, I think. And it still worked up until the day I pulled it out. But this hose burst, so it was just pumping it right back into the tank. And then while I had it out, I moved this up. Who knows why, turning it upside down, whatever. And a chunk of this fell out because of the ethanol. If I still had the old pump around here, I could show you. The pump was soaked. The whole bottom of it just had crusty, crystallized ethanol garbage all over it. So I changed the pump anyway while I was in there because I don't really feel like doing it again. And then I went to go move this beast. And unfortunately, the fuel gauge reads full all the time. And it wouldn't start, which I thought was odd. So I poured some fuel in it, and it fired right off. That's strange. So I unplugged the fuel connector. Which I'm not sure you're going to be able to see it from here. It's dark. But the fuel connector for the tank is like way up in the abyss up there. So I pulled that and ohmed it from, or grounded it from there to the gauge, and the gauge went to 0. So I knew immediately, uh-oh, we got a problem. So I do have a tester around here. I've got the Kentmore tester that you can test gauges, and you can, it's basically a carbon pile is all it really is. You can set it to 0 to 90 ohms and anywhere in between. So I did that and watched my digital gauge, and it worked fine. So that means the sender in there is the same problem with this. And because this car sat longer, unfortunately, than this one did, it's what it is. It's just what it is. So you gotta take it apart. Uh-oh. White wire alert. Some of you guys don't know what that means. So I've got to tear this apart, and believe me, there'll be probably a multi-video on that, because it's going to take me some time doing it by myself here in the garage when I have free time. Just time is very limited around here lately with all the projects going on. So yeah, but there's that. There's the update on the Fiero spoiler. And a little bit, like I said, what's going on the channel here. There you go. I will see you soon. Let's see what other kind of trouble we can get into, huh? Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Well, I figured since we're out here messing around, I'll show you this. Let me set it down. Do-do-do-do. Now, obviously it needs painted. And you got chips in it. There's the chips from when I tried to unscrew these two, but they do still seem to be holding. So, new gasket on that side. This one, I just threw some paint on it. It's one of the original GM ones I got because I'm going to completely finish, like actually restore the printed ones. And those will end up going on here when I paint the spoiler. So, but I'm tired of the water in the trunk problem. So, they got new gaskets. Painted it and cleared it. It's a pretty good close facsimile, I guess, of the original paint. I mean, it's all messed up anyway, but it's pretty close to it. Obviously, I'll paint it in the original color when it's done, but I figured, let's put this bad boy back on, right? This giant spoiler. It's gotta be one of the biggest spoilers put in a car in the 80s. Okay. Yeah, this ought to be good one-handed. So you can actually not see what's going on. Let's see. There. Yeah. Look at that. Nice. Okay. Now, what I have done in here, since you can't put big washers on that, I am still going to put a big washer on that one, though. I'm not sure if they were stock that way, but I ended up buying some fender washers, and I'm going to put some stainless ones on here next time. But for now, like I said, we got to get this back together. I can't have it leaking all over the place. I'm not going to crank that down yet because I want to get it adjusted to where it's at least somewhat in the right spot. Oh yeah, fun times. And of course these are not the original size because I couldn't find metric studs fast enough. I'm going to order some stainless ones. There's that one. So you can't put them on those, but I should be able to put this up now enough to where, yeah, that ain't going to go anywhere. Cool. And you'll be surprised at how much tension is on this deck lid without the spoiler on it. Doesn't feel like there's much on it now, but there definitely is. So the nuts I chose were block nuts. Kind of hard to see, but I don't want them coming loose. That's the last thing you want when you're rolling down the road. Spoiler come off. Well, that would suck. So I will go get my extension and a, well, let's see here. I guess all I really need is an extension, right? Yeah. Let me go grab that. And we'll tighten this bad boy down and see how it looks. There it is. Yeah, nice shiny studs. Guess I could have made them a little shorter. But, and now when I close it, it doesn't make the rattle noise of the spoiler going jiggy jiggy. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, see? And now I don't see all that white paint on that one, of course. I do still see it on that one. That's okay. It's still going to get painted anyway. But at least now, yeah, spoiler's nice and solid. Cool. Well, I wonder what else we can get into. Let's find some other trouble, shall we? I know what kind of trouble we can get into. Let's get this off of here and put a new thermostat in, huh? That's actually not so bad. Oh, hey, look at that. Yummy. Let's see here. Let's get that all the way there. Okay. Just grab this little handle. Pull that bad boy right out of there. I wonder what degree is this one? 195. Okay. So that is correct. Let's get rid of that. Let's get this guy submerged in the new stuffs. Push that down in there pretty good. And this has got to be the only car on the planet that you don't need many tools to actually change a thermostat. Of course, I don't have that down all the way either. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Gotta use the cap. Let's try to get a different angle on this bad boy, shall we? There you go. Look at that. What was that, a 2-minute thermostat change? And the engine is barely warm because I did drive it this morning, but I let it cool down, so I didn't want to take a face full of 200-degree coolant. That would be bad. But there it is. And because I like to show you guys part numbers, the box here. There you go. I put that one on it. Why did I put that one on it? It's a little bit cooler. I do have a low temp fan switch in it, but I figured let's try putting a 180 in there. I'd like to see this thing run consistent at like 180, 190 instead of fluctuating up and down all the time. So, but there it is. There's that one. So I guess now it's time we gotta find something else to do because that was just too fast. I already did the spoiler. Now we did the thermostat. What else can we do? Alright, I guess that's all the trouble we're gonna get into today. There has been a lot going on around here. I know this is kind of a short one, but there's a lot going on around here. And you'll definitely be brought along for the ride, we'll say. So, see, a lot of you guys seem to have liked the Knight Rider project, the kit car that I have here. So, we're going to be doing a whole lot to that as far as upgrades and building new parts. So, we'll take some more walk-arounds of that once I get it back out of the garage. It has been sitting in there for quite some time now. Getting plans made and stuff ordered, and things coming in to upgrade it a little bit and to build more stuff. So you'll be brought along for the ride for that. And we'll probably go for a ride and kit here pretty soon, so you can see how the dash works and everything. It's kind of cool, especially at night. It's definitely a sight to be seen. And the looks you get are crazy. So, especially on a show that's as old as it is. So yeah, stay with us, stay with the ride. It's gonna be pretty cool, I would say. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really does help the channel out big time, and I greatly appreciate it. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.